All right, what's up, guys? We are live. How is everyone doing? So, it's been a really awesome week, actually. I originally was on a trip to LA. You know, I had it booked for over a month. I had it all planned out. And when I got to LA, it was right when things were getting crazy. Everything was shutting down. So I was like, I think I should get out of LA. So I went to Sedona, Arizona, spent a week there, and just had an absolutely incredible time. Exploring in nature, hanging out in sacred sites, vortexes, things like that. And it's like there's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety happening in the world right now. But at the same time, when you're able to tune out of all that, it's an amazing time of transformation, and there's so much potential here in the world right now, energetically. You know what I mean? It's just the future's wide open for those of us who can hold. If you can hold your center, stay clear, stay laser-like focused on what you want to bring into your life, it's an incredible time. So, how's everybody doing? I want to talk just for a little bit about the importance of your environment, right? And by environment, I mean, what are you surrounding yourself with? What are you bringing into your field? What's receiving? Are you browsing through the news all day? Looking for some good news, right? Which you're never going to find on mainstream news. It's just fear porn. You know what I mean? It's just the rabbit hole just goes and goes into more and more terrifying places. So turn off the news, right? Get outside, get into nature, fill your life with beneficial inventor, and not let the sort of waves of change that are happening in this world throw you off balance, right? When you have a strong daily practice, for me, my daily practice is I get up every morning, I do my Qigong practice, I do an hour or so of that, I do my Tai Chi, do my meditation, I meditate for an hour, do some yoga in the evenings, do some breath work, things like that. So when you have a daily practice, you keep yourself in the flow, you keep your energy moving, and of course, cultivating your sexual energy is an important part of that. For men, we're practicing semen retention, building up that sexual energy instead of constantly dispersing it, and use that energy, tap into that, because that becomes part of that's really the advanced yoga practices. The advanced Qigong meditation practices is working with the sexual energy. You're moving that energy throughout your body, supercharging your energy, supercharging your body, your mind, and really the key to manifestation is working with that sexual energy. Sexual energy is creative energy. When you're cultivating your sexual energy, you're this high charge of sexual orgasmic energy. And at the same time, you're focusing on what you want to bring into your life. Every morning you're doing your whether it's affirmations, doing like a visualization practice where you see clearly what it is you want to bring into your life. This is so important, guys. You know how many people have no idea what they want in their lives? Most people are focused on what they don't want. And we're seeing a lot of this recently, right? Oh, I don't want this chaos. I don't want this fear. I don't want this anxiety. Okay, well, what do you want? Can you write out your top 3 things you want to bring into your life right now? Most people never write down the things they want to bring into your life. So that's the first step. Get clear on what you want, and then start to visualize that closely, very clearly, but not just like seeing it, feeling it, feel that emotional quality, feel what it's like to have already accomplished that. Feel that emotional sense, that gratitude of accomplishment, right? That's the key to manifestation. You do that every day. I guarantee in 1 year, your life will look completely different. So again, it's really about your focus. It's about your focal point. It's about being clear on what you want to have and being able to bring that in. And at the same time, you're cultivating your sexual energy, you're meditating, you're staying focused, staying clear, and being able to clear yourself of all this external chaos that's coming at you 24/7 now. You can still thrive in this world with this internal skill, right? All right, so lots of questions coming in. I'm gonna get into it here. Effects of tobacco, I don't personally see much benefit to it. I know there's a lot of like spiritual context using tobacco, like Native Americans, shamans would use tobacco in that way. So if that's your practice, that's fine. But like smoking it daily, using it as kind of a fix, a vice, it's terrible for your health. Kind of destroys your willpower as well, right? When you allow these indulgences to overtake you. Same with weed. There's nothing wrong with having weed here and there, but if you're having it every day, unless you have like a medical condition for it, then again, you're relying on the substance, which is actually depleting your energy as well. Psychoactive substances burn up your genes, your physical essence. they burn them up to get these higher sort of spiritual states. And again, if it's like an occasional occurrence, it's not a big. Green fire, burning fear away. Awesome. Using the practice. I posted a video on my YouTube channel of basically a clearing practice. It's called Spiritual Warrior Training. Okay. Do you meditate for an hour straight, or do you split it up? Do you imagine the inner smile and microcosmic orbits, meditations in your head? Okay, good questions. So my meditation, I meditate for an hour straight in the morning usually, sometimes a little less, but usually it's an hour, bam, meditation. Sometimes I'll do more in the evening too. But here's a great question. Do you imagine the inner smile and microcosmic orbits, meditations in your head? The key to any energetic practice is it's not just like this visualization. If you're just like visually seeing things, but your rest of your body's not involved, then your results are going to be very, very limited. This is really about tactile engagement, kinesthetic engagement. Use your whole body. So for example, the microcosmic orb meditation, you're holding your awareness on these various points of the body. You're not visualizing them in your mind. You're literally bringing your awareness to these areas. You're feeling that. You feel this energy center activate, move on to the next one. You start to feel this current tangibly. So if you're just doing it from your head, you're going to have very limited results. It has to be a whole body practice. What's your YouTube channel? It's Sexual Kung Fu. Does semen retention help against coronavirus? Semen retention does boost your immune system significantly. When you're constantly ejaculating, your body basically puts a hold on like cellular repair, the immune system function, things like that, and puts its priority on investing its energy into creating more semen. So semen retention definitely boosts your immune system. But if you're really worried about the coronavirus, colloidal silver kills viruses. It's a really powerful immune booster. Cistus incanus tea, spelled Cistus incanus. That is shown actually to kill Ebola. Very, very powerful antiviral tea as well. What else? Peroxide in your ears, things like that. Do these things, you won't get sick, guys. I haven't been sick in years. But don't buy into the fear, guys. Nothing to worry about. Just, take obvious precautions, but don't get into this fear trip so many people are getting into. Okay, when we do the building the Dantian meditation, do we have to stay sitting or do we have to stand up? So this is a practice I put on my YouTube channel. I think I called the video, this technique builds energy or something like that. It's a Dantian building practice. You can do it standing or sitting down. I recommend you do it sitting down in the beginning until you start to really get the Dantian cooking. It starts to feel red hot, but you can really be doing it whatever you're doing 24/7. Tingling sensation during testicle breathing method, good sign. Tingling often means that, you're starting to get some energy activated there. So it's definitely a good sign. Just started reading Multi-Orgasmic Man by Montauk Chia. Thoughts? It's a great book. It's a great starting point. It's definitely not going to be a complete guide for you. Again, that book kind of got me started on the path, but I had very limited results just by working with it. So it's a great starting point though, for sure. Have you ever received a Chine Song massage? Yes, I actually trained in Chine Song. I trained with Karen Deal a few years ago, and it's just kind of a tool I've taken on. I do it with my partner a lot, and I've received several Chine Song treatments. I have a good friend of mine named Sonny. He lives in Australia. Really, really, really powerful Chine Song work. He's kind of integrated it with internal alchemy. So yeah, Chine Song is an incredible healing modality. When we do the build, I already asked that. How long during sex does it usually take for a full body orgasm? It depends. For men, it usually takes at least 15 to 20 minutes to really get into that full body state of orgasm. So basically, you have to be able to last longer during sex. Qigong, meditation, and breath work are so powerful because it helps you to open up your body. It's really about an opening, right? If you're just trying to force your way into it, you're going to get closed down with tension. The sexual energy is not going to be able to saturate the whole body. So it's really a process of releasing and allowing the body to fill with more and more pleasure. Breathing deeply is important. Okay, if you practice semen retention and during sex you perform retrograde ejaculation by squeezing your PC muscle when close to orgasm, the semen ends up in the bladder and then you urinate it out. My question is, would this be considered a relapse? Well, whatever you define as a relapse, it is an ejaculation. Retrograde ejaculation. This is a common technique people teach where they say, okay, you hit the point where you're going to ejaculate and just squeeze the pelvic floor muscles as hard as you can. And what often happens is, you have a retrograde ejaculation. So it seems like you have a dry orgasm, you have all the full orgasm, the spasms, but no fluid comes out. But often it's just going into the bladder and you pee it out. So it's the same as an ejaculation. So yeah, it's the same as ejaculating. It's not a very good technique. Have you ever astral traveled? Yeah, I used to be really into out of body stuff, lucid dreaming, astral projection. It's pretty cool. Okay, another person asking what to eat to kill viruses and boost my immune system. First of all, guys, don't be so freaked out about this. Like, the media, the news is blowing this way out of proportion. There's definitely some suspicious things happening worldwide. Again, it's like 3% of people are dying from the coronavirus. It's barely more than the flu, right? It's only people with seriously compromised immune systems who, should be concerned about this at all. So don't get freaked out. Like, just, there's nothing to fear, guys, other than getting into fearful states. Ironically, all the anxiety, all the fear people are getting into out of this, just because they're being bombarded from the news with it 24/7, all of that anxiety is much, much worse for their health than the actual coronavirus. But again, colloidal silver, take high amounts of vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C is what I take. Put peroxide in your ears, like into the ear canal. What else? Oregano oil, 5 drops under the tongue. You won't get sick. Can you give a course and technique on astral projection then? It's not something I'm a master of, I will say. It's been a while since I was really into it, because it takes a lot of focus, a lot of time to be able to do these things consistently. So it hasn't really been on my priority, but maybe in the future I could teach things about it. I did a video on lucid dreaming though on my YouTube channel. I gave some good tips on that video. Favorite types of music? I love a lot of different kinds of music. I really like progressive house music. One of my favorite producers, his name is Roald Velden, Roaal. So yeah, I love progressive house, a lot of electronic music, all kinds of music. I used to, I'm a musician myself. I used to play in rock bands. I used to play jazz, metal, things like that. So I like all different kinds of music. Michael Hedges, kind of a new age musician. He used to be one of my favorite guitarists back in the day. Are full body orgasms only meant to be experienced with a long-term partner, or can you perform them hooking up with different women? I mean, you don't need to even be with a partner to have a full body orgasm. So it can be any situation. But I will say that often for men, there's a certain amount of emotional connection that's required to have a full body orgasm. So if you're just kind of having one night stands, then you might not get there. It really depends on how open you are as a person. So, and it can take a bit of experimentation. Like, again, really getting to know a partner, kind of getting to know their body, getting to know your connection together, being able to harmonize, right? So, you'll find out, I guess, right? How old am I? I am 31. The feeling of Kundalini, is it similar to random shivers you get and feel it in the back and spine? I mean, there's different degrees of Kundalini awakening or Kundalini experience, but usually when you have like a legitimate Kundalini experience, it's powerful. It's not just like physical sensations. It's like you just took 10 hits of LSD. You'll know it when it happens. Thoughts on coffee and caffeine addiction while retaining on hormone and testosterone levels. Will you make a video about caffeine? Okay, so basically caffeine, like your hormones and semen retention. Good question. I used to be kind of a caffeine addict. I used to drink like 2 or 3 cups of coffee in the morning. And oh God, when I was a teenager, I'd drink like those energy drinks. So bad for you. But what I found is that, well, so for me personally, when I started doing internal practices, started doing meditation, specifically Qigong is what really increased my sensitivity and really transformed my body. I started feeling very overstimulated by, stimulants, coffee, caffeine. And I switched to yerba mate, then I switched to green tea, and now even like green tea is too stimulating for me most of the time. Occasionally I'll have it, but I'll have it in like, really weak amounts, excuse me. But I've become extremely sensitive for my practice. So any amount of caffeine pretty much is too much for me. But so caffeine, it really depends on your body type, how much you're having. Most people can get away with having small amounts daily, but it tends to pull from the adrenals, pull from the kidney energy, which is also the kidneys in Chinese medicine are responsible for hormone production, sexual energy in general. So pulling on your reserve energy from your kidneys by drinking large amounts of caffeine is typically going to weaken your sexual drive, things like that. I'm not exactly sure what the effect is on testosterone, but just from my own experience, I feel a lot more overall sexually vital without having caffeine. But for some people, small amounts of caffeine helps them feel more sexual desire. So it's very unique to your body type. So I kind of encourage you to experiment. But if you rely on caffeine to like get going in the morning, then you probably have some imbalances there. So and your adrenals are probably tapped, which is extremely common scientific evidence of the benefits of semen retention. But just to quickly give an overview of some of them, in China, they did a study on a group of men, and basically what the study found was that the men who were retaining their semen, they all had this big peak in their testosterone levels at about day 7 of retaining, whereas the men who were ejaculating every day didn't have that testosterone boost. I'm trying to think of so another study, basically they took this type of worm called nematodes, right? And just to sum this up quickly, because again, I've talked about this in multiple YouTube videos, but basically these worms that they took 3 groups of worms. One of the groups were, because these worms had a lot of sex. So the first group just had sex as normal. They lived about 7 days. The next group, they were celibate, right? They separated the worms. They lived about, I think, like 10 days. But the third group of worms, they altered them so they couldn't produce semen anymore. But they still had sex, right? So there's the sexual kung fu worms. They had sex, but they didn't need to produce more semen. They lived 14 days. So it showed that not only does withholding from ejaculation make you live longer, at least the worms anyway, but if you have sex and don't ejaculate at the same time, it makes you live even longer than just withholding from ejaculation. So that's a very interesting scientific study. Okay, if you're practicing semen retention and you are, for example, on day 21, can you still last long in bed as you would on semen retention day 4? Or is it normal your body wants to ejaculate faster? Okay, so basically you're asking, are you able to last as long in bed on day 20 as you do on day 4? So this is very, very variable. A very common thing is that guys are doing semen retention, what I'll say, not the most ideal way. So they're just retaining their semen. They're just stopping ejaculation, but they're not doing any practice to move the sexual energy out of the balls, gun, ready to go, right? And so premature ejaculation can be common when you're practicing semen retention if you're not transmitting the energy. But if you are transmitting the energy, if you're doing the sexual kung fu practices, you're working with the microcosmic orbit, you're doing testicle breathing, you're keeping that semen energy flowing, then you're going to have much better control during sex. So it doesn't matter whether you're on day 20 or day 300 because you're in control of your sexual energy, basically. So I hope that answers your question. What to do to beat the urge to watch porn. I have several YouTube videos on this, but basically you need to have an action plan, something you're going to do instead of watching porn. So like write a few things down, like, okay, next time I have the urge to look at porn, I'm going to maybe do 100 push-ups, or I'm going to run 5 miles, or I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to call up some friends and play basketball, or I'm going to do my qigong practice, my sexual kung fu practice. So you need something to replace it with. You need to like have an action plan so that when you have that urge, you're like, okay, I know what to do now to do instead. So that's one of the keys to beating the porn addiction. When I master my sexual energy, can I give my partner cosmic orgasms even if she doesn't know any of this? It's very possible, that your partner doesn't do any practice, but you can like give them a mind-blowing experience because you're so in tune with your own sexual energy. It's very definitely possible, but it also depends on their degree of openness. So if they have some serious like sexual traumas, emotional traumas, they're like really closed down, then they're probably not going to have a very deep orgasmic experience. So it really comes down to how deeply connected you and your partner are, and how open, how in harmony you are with each other. That's really what determines the quality of sexual experience. And if you're the only one with sexual skill, or we could say this sort of esoteric sexual skill, you could still give them a great experience. But again, it really comes down to openness and connection, sort of vulnerability with each other. I feel pain in my testicles doing nofap. Means that your energy is stagnant. You need to move that energy. Work with microcosmic orbit, work with testicle breathing. I have videos of these on my YouTube channel. Hello from the Philippines. What do you recommend doing for self-improvement now that we are under quarantine? This is a great time to do some training, do some internal training. Start meditating, learn breath work, learn Qigong, learn yoga. I've got playlists on my YouTube channel. I've got Qigong playlist. I've got a breath work playlist. So follow those, do the practices, do some online courses, things like that. This is really a time to develop your skills, right? And train. Okay, do you use a shower filter? And if you do, what's a good one you'd recommend? I've been trying to find a good one. So I do use a shower filter. I can't say how good it is. There's no like smell in my shower water. Doesn't smell like chlorine or anything like it used to. Where I live in, where I'm from, I'm not there right now, but from Boise, Idaho, and lots of chlorine in the water. I think they fluoridate the water as well. But anyways, the filter I use gets out at least the chlorine and stuff. I don't smell anything, but the brand says that it removes fluoride, but it's hard to tell 100% unless I did a test. So I got it on Amazon, but I'm really interested in getting a really high quality shower filter myself as well. I'm actually considering getting a full house system because so just a little context on this for people. Tap water here in the U.S. is not clean. It's laced with all kinds of nasty things. Fluoride is a horrific chemical. Chloride, there's often like mercury and things like that in your water. So please don't drink tap water. Get clean water. If you can't get spring water, at least like reverse osmosis or distilled water. Though if you get reverse osmosis or distilled, you need to sort of restructure it. So sprinkle a little sea salt in there, or use some of the like trace minerals to restructure eating. So be aware of that, right? So having a shower filter is great. What's the second book you read after Montauk Chia's Multi-Orgasmic Man? Well, the second book on sexual kung fu was Practices. So, his name's on the book. So it's Montauk Chia and Michael Wynn, Tao Secrets of Love, Cultivating Male Sexual Energy. I think it's a bit better than Multi-Orgasmic Man. It gets into more like the esoteric practices. But again, it's still just a very, very beginning guide. And you kind of need to study with the teacher to really get the practices. And it's very tension-based in that book. I don't use I don't use the methods in that book so much now. How to deal with aggressiveness when testosterone is building up. Check out my video on YouTube, Semen Retention, dealing with anger. Basically, it's like, it is a sign that your energy is blocked. It's often related to the liver, liver stagnance, which often results in anger, frustration. It may mean that you're not really transmitting the energy properly, or that you really don't have enough things to keep yourself occupied. Liver sound, breathe in green light into the liver, release anger. The sound is shh. So you feel like you're breathing, exhaling the anger out of your liver like a cloud of smoke, making that sound. And that can be very helpful. Will you make a video on how to self-cultivate? It's fiery and regular sex is easier to full body orgasm without ejaculation. Well, I did a video on semen retention and edging, and in my course, I get into detail on like how to cultivate your sexual energy in a solo environment. Can you still have sex during NoFap? I mean, depends what your kind of view of NoFap is. For me, I'm practicing semen retention, sexual kung fu, and I have sex regularly without ejaculating. So that's kind of the key, right? Is retaining your semen. So it doesn't matter whether you're ejaculating by yourself or with a partner, you're still losing that energy, though it's less of a loss with your partner. But again, you learn the sexual kung fu practices to have non-ejaculatory orgasms, have sex without ejaculating. You get all the benefits of semen retention and even more benefits because, sex generates really, really powerful energy that you can cultivate for your own health and your spiritual development and harmonizing with your partner. So, to me, that's kind of the highest path. Is edging harmful? Doesn't it release a lot of dopamine? I mean, if you're on social, then like looking at porn all day and having like ejaculatory orgasms every day. While doing the big draw, I go unconscious for a few seconds. Is it normal? It can happen, but you may be using a bit too much force. That's a very, very fiery technique. I personally don't use that technique. I don't use all the force in that technique. If you watch my YouTube video, which is, I made it a couple of years ago, I'm no longer using all the tension stuff because it's too fiery, and I don't often bring the sexual energy directly to my brain so much anymore. You can try bringing it to your belly instead, relax the muscular tension, just breathe it up. And I teach more methods in my 6-week course, which are a lot more yin, a lot more balancing. What would you recommend for women to tap into sexual energy? Well, you can breathe into, so like there's testicle breathing for men, there's ovary breathing for women. So you breathe into your womb space, breathe into the ovaries, and then breathe that energy throughout the rest of the body. You can work with your, part of the practice for women as well involves being able to regulate your menstrual cycle, because as men lose excessive energy through ejaculation, women lose energy through excessive menstruation. The menstruation is kind of a psychic cleansing for women. So if you have a practice where you're basically digesting your emotional traumas, digesting your stress and things like that through your practice, then you won't need to release so much energy through your menstrual cycle, and it becomes a lot less draining for you. So that's kind of a very basic overview of how it can work for women. Do you have advice for feeling super nervous and awkward in meeting women? Well, it's kind of it's a common thing, but you need to get grounded. You need to boost your confidence, right? For me, doing grounding practices is very helpful. So next time you're in a situation that may be like a nervous situation, focus on your body, focus on your breath. feel yourself relaxing. So for example, when you're going to talk, if you like are going to go talk to a woman, but you're really nervous and anxious, you'll notice your shoulders kind of tense up, your belly tenses up, you actually sort of rise up, and you're off center of gravity, you're easily pushed over. So if you relax your shoulders, let your belly be, at least somewhat relaxed, breathe deep into your belly. Your center of gravity lowers, you're more connected to the earth, feel more grounded. Also focus on this point at this large vertebrae where the neck connects sort of to the shoulders here, the C7 vertebrae. Focus your mind there. Feel that point relaxing. Feel like it's sinking down your back. You'll feel your whole back of your body sink down. You'll feel much more calm, much more confident. So that gives you something to focus on to keep yourself in the moment instead of getting off into these, anxious thoughts like, oh, what's she thinking about me? What should I say? So, try that. Do I lift weights? Yes, I do lift weights. I go to the gym 3 times a week. And I think I like weightlifting. It's very grounding, kind of balances out my energetic practice, which can be very, spacey. We're moving energy all day. You tend to get a bit spacey. So I find weightlifting to be very grounding for me. Iron crotch benefits in your life. So iron crotch is the practice of tying weights to your genitals and lifting them. It's genital weightlifting. Many benefits. It really, really improves your hormonal levels. I was reading a thing by this guy who teaches it. His name's Master 2. One of his students was in his 70s, and he doubled his testosterone levels practicing iron crotch. But an important part of the practice is you take a steel wire and you hit yourself with it. It vibrates the bones, opens up the pores of the bones, and helps you produce more bone marrow. And bone marrow is really it creates blood, kind of the foundation for hormonal production as well. So it's a very youthful promoting practice. Iron crotch improves your hormones, also greatly strengthens your pelvic floor and your ability to bring sexual energy upwards in the body. So there's tons of benefits, but you have to be very careful with practicing iron crotch. A lot of guys injure themselves, because their ego gets involved. A lot of guys go too crazy with iron crotch because their ego gets involved, right? So be very, very careful and learn it from a qualified instructor. Have you heard of prostate contraction for drawing energy to the forehead and brain? Well, I think it's just like contracting the pelvic floor, which is a very common practice. Contracting the pelvic floor can help to bring the energy upward, but if you do it too much during sex, it creates hypertension in the pelvic floor and can actually make you ejaculate easier. You don't need to squeeze it to bring the energy up. Energy is not physical, though physical engagements can help in the beginning. They're kind of like stepping stones, but once you master the energetic, you don't need the physical contraction. You can just move the energy. Do you recommend cold shower at night before sleep? Yeah, I like to take cold showers at night before I go to bed. As long as you have a decently healthy immune system. Like if you're fighting a cold or something, I wouldn't take a cold shower, but yeah, just in general, there's a lot of benefits. Reverse Kegels gave me erectile problems. Thoughts? Do you do regular Kegels as well? You want to balance reverse Kegels and regular Kegels as well. Okay, will your course help me to achieve the learning of multi-orgasmic practices, even if I don't have a couple to practice with? So even if you don't have a partner to practice with, yes, definitely. I learned all this stuff when I was single, and a lot of the guys who take my course are single, and they get the concept of controlling the sexual energy. And again, with this stuff, it's very important to practice by yourself first. That's pretty much how I present the course. It's like, okay, you need to practice by yourself, and then first. So basically, yes, you will completely learn the sexual practices of becoming multi-orgasmic if you don't have a partner, taking my course. What are the practice exercises that can be done to relax the pelvic floor? Reverse Kegels helps to kind of stretch it back out. A lot of guys do this thing where I did this myself. because this is what most people teach. This is what Montauk Chia teaches, is you just have to squeeze your pelvic floor really, really hard as much as you can and just strengthen it. But it's the equivalent of like going to the gym and like doing bicep curls every single day and never stretching it out. Pretty soon, you're going to be pretty tight. And that's what happens to the pelvic floor. It causes this distortion in the pelvic floor muscles, imbalances, and basically makes premature ejaculation worse. So you need to balance your regular Kegels with reverse Kegels. So that's like a pushing out, like you're pushing out a poop. It's kind of the feeling. Also, just using your mind to relax the pelvic floor. You can use a tennis ball, like sit on a tennis ball, kind of massage around with pressure on the tennis ball. Deep breathing into the belly helps to release and expand the pelvic floor. Where did you meet your girlfriend? Just curious, trying to find like-minded individuals. I actually met my girlfriend on Bumble. It's a dating app like Tinder, and it was the first time I'd ever used dating apps. It was the only person I ever met, so there was definitely kind of some cosmic juju happening there. But again, I'm always doing like these manifestation practices, so it's really not that surprising. Can too much semen loss destroy my luck? Well, I don't know about your luck, but it will definitely drain your energy, drain your motivation, and throw your hormones off balance. So, if you consider that to destroy your luck, then yes. Okay, guys, just a few more questions, and I gotta jump off. Thanks everyone for joining. The name question. Zolif or Dimmel as a name? Like, which name would I prefer? Would I rather be called Zolif? I was in no fat before, but I got addicted to porn again. Any help would be appreciated. Well, again, the advice I always have for people who are suffering from porn addiction is you really have to make some changes in your life. If you want to change a habit, you need new habits to replace that with. You really have to become a different person. So it's like, start doing new things instead of looking at porn. So, for me, what did it was doing meditation, doing yoga, doing Qigong practices, because these practices was developing my internal energy. I felt really good for my practice, and it increased my sensitivity. So I realized, like, wow, looking at porn really just makes me feel like shit. Like, why am I doing this? And I just naturally lost the desire to. So again, you need new things to put into your life instead of porn. Does working out increase sperm count, or is it a myth? It does. So like lifting heavy weights increases your testosterone levels, which higher levels of testosterone means higher levels of semen production. So there's. Is it okay to have a semen retention cycle like every 10 days? Certainly. Again, it depends what your goals are. I don't really recommend most guys take the approach of like, oh, I'm just never going to ejaculate again. It just doesn't work for most guys, and they just feel frustrated when they do ejaculate. So it's like, it depends on your age. Like if you really want to ejaculate like as much as you possibly can, then go, once a week. But I recommend for most guys more like 2 weeks or once a month, or once every 2 weeks or once a month, to kind of cycle it. Semen is yang or yin. Semen is yang. It's masculine essence. Can't seem to transmute the energy, but got a lot of pain down there. Can I just deal with the pain without transmuting? You certainly can, but it's not really optimal to have blue balls all the time. So, massage your balls, learn the microcosmic orbit meditation, and then learn testicle breathing. That will help you to draw the energy throughout the body, and do reverse Kegels. Can semen retention help with this coronavirus? Semen retention boosts your immune system, but don't be in this trip that everyone's on about, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Just know that there's an agenda being pushed on you through the mainstream news, and, don't live in fear, right? And you'll be healthy. But yeah, semen retention really boosts your sex drive, or your immune system. Best method to control your arousal during hard sex? Breathing deeply and making sound. It's like, making kind of a groaning sound helps to kind of disperse that sexual energy, and breathing deep into the belly. It's a simple practice right there. Can semen retention reverse receding hairline? I haven't had any experience with balding, but I do know many men who have actually reversed receding hairlines, even balding, by practicing semen retention. So it's definitely possible. If you have too many blockages, can it prevent full body orgasm? Definitely. And that's why I teach practices in my course to clear the energy body. First of all, breath work, qigong, clears the body so that you can safely bring sexual energy throughout the body and have these full body orgasms. Okay, guys, I'm going to answer just a couple more questions, then I'm done. I gotta jump off here. To really see change in your life, how long you've been masturbating every day. For me, I saw changes pretty quickly though. Like 3 or 4 days in, I was like, wow, I feel a bit more, just have a bit more desire, a bit more of that sexual juiciness, a bit more of this yang essence, but you may not feel anything different till a month or a week. You know what I mean? It's going to be different for everyone. Have you experienced success with penis lengthening exercises? Yes, I have. I personally added about 1.5 inches in penis length by doing the lengthening exercises. But the thing is, you have to be consistent with them, Started when I was 12 to 24. That was about mind frame. I think I started masturbating when I was 13. I was about 12 or 13, and I started practicing semen retention in 2013. So I was 7 years ago. I was 24. Yeah, so pretty much the same age as you, right? And I'm not sure how long it took me to rewire my brain. Honestly, I'm learning how can I have multiple orgasms without ejaculating, and it was like just a natural progression of, hey, I want to retain my semen longer and longer because it feels better. So that was kind of my process. But a lot of people swear by the 30-day or the 90-day no fat reboot. So it may be different for each person. So Is jelqing the best exercise? I mean, it depends what your goal is. Jelqing is good for harder erections, and it can also improve your girth at the same time. But you have to be careful with jelqing. You can overdo it and hurt yourself, and give yourself erectile dysfunction, which is kind of counterproductive to the point, right? So be careful with jelqing. Never do it every day. You want to take days off. Do it like 3 to 4 times a week. Start with like 10 minutes a day, and don't do it too hard. I was vegan for about 6 months, but it just wasn't the ideal diet for my body. Yes, I do meditate. I meditate for about an hour a day. Does semen retention help with having more focus? Yes, definitely. You have more zinc, which is your hormones are different, right? When you're constantly ejaculating, your zinc levels are low, testosterone is low, prolactin's high, which leads to brain fog and apathy. Semen retention, higher testosterone, more energy, much more focus. Can I request your video? Okay, can I request a video on your theory of what the media is trying to do? Well, I'll just talk about it a little bit, right? Let's get into some conspiracy theory stuff. It's very obvious that there's a lot of fear being pushed on us, like intense levels of fear, based on how everyone's reacting. They're being successful, right? One thing I will say is that, so this all started in Wuhan, right? If you look at the whole the 5G network that's being pushed, one of the first places to put 5G online was Wuhan, China. So it's a little suspicious there, isn't it? That's all I'm going to say about it for now. Yes, I've had success with penis lengthening exercises. But again, don't get into fear of all this stuff. This is an act of desperation. Whatever's happening, it's like the dark forces in this world are like desperate. This is like the last push, I think. So don't be in fear. Have a good time. Go out to nature. Turn off the news. Please turn off the news. Like, again, I just spent a week in Sedona getting away from social media, getting away from the news, and I had a great time, So anyways, I am going to jump off now on that note, guys. Again, hold your center in this time. Focus on the good. Focus on the light. Focus on what you want to bring into your life. Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you'll be just fine, guys. It's actually quite an exciting time. This is a time for a lot of potential transformation. We're in a very auspicious time. A lot of ancient civilizations talked about the time we're in right now as being this incredible time of transformation. And we are seeing that. But when you get focused on all this fear stuff that's being pushed on us throughout the news, you're not in your power. So again, meditate. So, all right, guys, I'll see you next time.